Peace, family. Peace meaning positive energy always creates elevation. As you can tell by the title, man, today we're going to be talking about the dark history of Christmas, okay? Now, I have a video for you at the bottom of the screen, man, that's going to basically give you the real truth about Christmas, okay? Seeing as how that holiday season is quickly approaching, I felt like it was necessary to set the record straight, okay? Because unbeknownst to you, because you've been indoctrinated to believe that this was a holiday that was worth celebrating, you celebrate the day of the devil, okay? And most of us who do know it, we still celebrate it because we feel like we will be taking our kids away from the world, basically, okay? But in doing so, we're doing nothing but lying, okay? So the reason I felt like it was necessary to show you this video is because, you know, it's going to break down the symbolism of it and how it came to be what it is today. All right. And so with that being said, man, we're just going to go ahead and jump right into this video, man. Let's go.
Winter season, around December 25th, the people celebrated the winter solstice. And so the winter solstice would come about somewhere from December 21st all the way to around January 6th or so. And so the people of the North would...
So we have to understand that this is dealing with the winter solstice. This Christmas is helping bring in the winter solstice, which will be beginning on the 21st, which is tomorrow, okay?
Celebrate different holidays, have different occasions based upon the winter solstice. In the wintertime, there is a period where there is no light. You are literally in darkness 24 hours of the day. And this stretches for a period of time. Now, could you imagine if you're living in Alaska or living in Canada or living in Norway and you don't have central heating and the cold is outside, it's darkness around you. People are dying from disease. It's a terrible time, and every family would probably lose somebody, or they would know of somebody dying from the cold and disease during that season. This is the winter solstice. And so when the sun starts to come out.
So this is why so many demonic sacrifices take place during this period of time, okay? Because it's in hope of bringing that life, okay, that was necessary to sustain the winter. This is what winter solstice is all about. And this is what, as you're going to find out, a lot of the symbolism that we use, such as the Christmas tree and other things, okay, is all about, okay? So let's look at this.
The people now are looking at the sun as a life-giving force. And so during that time, a number of ceremonies were held in northern countries. In the far north was the Feast of the 12 Nights, which stretched from December 25th to January 6th. Also in ancient Greece, there was the Bacchanalia, which was held for their god Bacchus, the god of wine and sport and play. The Romans had the Saturnalia for their god Saturn, their main sun god Saturn. And so you find during these times that the people held ceremonies in the north. They would burn bonfires. The light was important, the fire, because the fire represents the light, the life-giving force for those who worship nature. Also in the north, they recognized that there was one tree that despite the cold would still remain alive, the evergreen tree, the fir tree. And so in some cases, they would take this fir tree, believing that there was powers of life within the tree, and they would put it in their homes, set it there and put a light on the top of it, or burn them in the front, or they would make mistletoes and put them over their doorways, a type of what we would call ta'wiz or tamima.
And so this is why you see during Christmas, okay, that you know, people bring the Christmas tree in the house, the pine trees, and they put the wreaths on their doors, okay? He's explaining that to you now. See, what we have to understand is that St. Nicholas is nothing but Satan, y'all. Okay? It's nothing but Satan. And in all actuality, it's a satanic holiday that we're actually worshiping or celebrating, I mean.
It is an amulet. And they would hang the amulet over their doors. Hang the amulets in their home, hoping that this fir tree, that this so-called life-giving force would protect them from the danger of the winter. And so their ceremonies developed around this. And this went on for hundreds of years. We also find in the ancient northern countries and the Druids of the north, they carried out special ceremonies surrounding the mistletoe and surrounding the fir tree and the beliefs, and they would meet within circular areas. And they had a secretive cult that spread throughout the far northern countries. One of the interesting individuals, and you can look this up if you can find it in the dictionaries or encyclopedias, is a man called Mithra or Mithras. This is a very mysterious character. And when you look at history, you find that this individual called Mithra was born on December 25th.
Does that sound familiar? I want to know, does that sound familiar? See, this how they get down, bro. They take all this other history and then they retwist it, put different names on it, and then push it in front of our faces in order to, promote their agenda unbeknownst to us, so that we would celebrate it unconsciously.
His day of the week was the 7th day of the week, that we still call Sunday. He was supposed to be the son of the sun god himself, and they had a special sacrament made up of bread and wine, and they would make this drink during this time, and supposedly he died for the sins of the people. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? But when you try to find Mithra or Mithras in the encyclopedias, they, through state intervention, erased the name. Why is this? That is because after the time of Jesus, Isa alayhi salam, when the message began to spread and they went north, and you'll see within historical writings that Barnabas, one of his disciples, met a man named Saul or Paul, who later called himself Paul. Paul said he saw Jesus on the Damascus road. And he went to the disciples, but the disciples turned against Paul. Only Barnabas stayed with him. But when Paul and Barnabas went into Greece, Barnabas left him. Now, what is the reason why they all left him? What are the concepts coming through Paul? Many people say, well, they left him because he was Saul before, and he used to torture the early followers of Isa alayhi salam.
So when he says Isa Islam, he's really talking about Jesus, okay? This is who the modern story of Jesus, okay? But they're giving you a whole nother name, all right?
But also you can see, and if you look at present day Christianity, that most of the concepts of the Trinity, of the blood sacrifice, the original sin, and most of the concepts which relate to more than one God are coming through Paul. The preachers are quoting Paul sometime more than Jesus during their sermons. And so Barnabas left Paul. And
that's a fact.
Somewhere in the early days, in Rome or Greece, somewhere in that area, those missionaries who were teaching the teachings of Jesus, Isa alayhi salam, met with this force coming from the north. And so you will see in ancient Roman history that in some cases the Roman emperor would go out to the Coliseum and the gladiators would be fighting each other and everybody's cheering for the gladiators. Sounds like one of our football games. They would go to the Coliseum, right? And the gladiators would fight. And then if one of the gladiators was down, and they would look at the emperor, should I kill him or not? And if he wanted to kill him, he would go like that. Right? That sign down.
Meaning he would put his thumb up or he would put his thumb down to signify whether, to execute the person or not.
He said, keep him alive. He goes like this. You know how we use it today? Yes. Okay? He gives that sign. Okay? One of the terrible things happening during these rituals at the Coliseum is that they would bring the Christians out, literally men, women, and children, and feed them to hungry animals. They would take a hyena or a wolf or a lion and get it hungry and crazy and beat it and throw raw meat at it and then send it out on the people, and they would literally cheer and watch as the animal ripped the bodies apart. This is a terrible culture.
So we have to understand that this culture comes from Rome, okay? What is located in Rome? The Vatican, okay? The Pope is located in Rome. And, you know, you have to understand that originally everything that was written from the standpoint of the Bible would have been altered in terms of, you know, from their standpoint. It would have been altered from them. So they're the ones who's actually giving you the teachings that is taught inside the Bible. They're the ones who actually taking out certain things from the Bible that they didn't want you to know. And this is why, you know, we were able to be misled, because, you know, the Bible was actually mistranslated through its reconstruction.
Tear the bodies apart. And so somewhere along the line, somebody who couldn't take the torture, who felt that maybe we can win these people over, made a compromise. And you start to see changes going on from the early part of the Christian era in Southern Europe, where the major ceremonies held by the nature worshiping people are combined with Christian names and Christian ceremonies, and therefore what comes forth to us is a mixture.
So now what is he saying right there? He's saying that us, the nine ether beings, bro, our religion, our way of spirituality was stolen from us and mixed in with this pagan stuff, okay? And then pushed into the Bible, okay? So they took the paganism and mixed it with what was supposed to be the truth and pushed it to society and called it Christian. So the whole time, you know, they would think that they was doing something that was supposed to be right, but in all actuality, they're actually worshiping this satanic person.
With the two streams coming together, where you get a monotheistic name or a monotheistic character with a pagan ceremony. And so the mixture of this together is what is giving us the present day holidays that we see. Number one, we understand that Isa alayhi salam, according to the different reports of the different scholars in many religions, he was not born in the cold weather. History shows us
he's talking about Jesus, y'all. Pay attention.
That he was born during the warm weather. Even in the Christian traditions, they have the belief that the shepherds were tending their flocks outside. And in Palestine, you cannot keep your flocks outside. In the wintertime, in the evening, you bring them in because it's cool at night. And so it was the warm weather. It was also the time of the taxes in the north. In the story coming in the Quran, when we see the mention in chapter 9.
So now you see why tax season, right, falls right after Christmas, to give you that illusion, to set that illusion up of it supposedly being the time of birth of when all of this take place. Because if you were listening from the beginning, he was actually saying that these are northern rituals, okay, or northern beliefs that are being explained, okay? So they're trying to associate what is taking place over here with the northern aspect of things.
In verses 24 to 25, and we see the mention of the story of Mary, because it is the belief of the Muslims that Maryam, may Allah be pleased with her, was a virgin, and she had dedicated her life to the worship of one God, prayer and fasting. And by the power of Allah, that the Creator breathed His Spirit into her and she conceived Jesus. He said, be and it is. She conceived Jesus, Isa alayhi salam, without a father, without a man. That is a belief of Islam. It is also a belief that when she felt the pain of the pregnancy, that the angel came to her and told her to go outside of the city. She went outside of the city to a remote area, and there she found a palm tree, and she found water. And it was speaking about rutub janniya. It was speaking about a type of rutub, or a type of dates. And those who know, who have lived in the desert area, know that when the dates become ripe, when you start to see the color of the dates change, because dates are not brown, you know. Dates are originally red and they're yellow, they're other colors, but they turn the brown. It's at the height of the heat that the dates become ripe. And so it's at that time that she gave birth to Isa alayhi salam. So from different points of view, different historical points of view and different religions, we understand that Isa alayhi salam was not born during the winter season. He was born in the warm weather. So who was it that was born in the winter season?
Now this is where it get deep, y'all. It get real deep right here.
What is that? Who is that character now? Let us become detectives and try to find out the answer to this problem. Number one, you have to understand this concept of Saturn, the concept of Bacchus. When they are portrayed by the different artists who drew pictures of them, or the sculptures, they're usually portrayed as a heavy-set man with a white beard. And when in the Sistine Chapel, Michelangelo drew his picture, you could see the long flowing beard, and there are actually pictures of this man on a sled being drawn by snakes with wings. Snakes with wings. Snakes do not normally fly. But in this case, the snakes have wings, and the heavy-set man is on his sled being drawn by these flying animals. Sound familiar to you now, doesn't it? He's being drawn by the flying animals. He's performing miracles. He's coming out on December 25th, which is not the birthday of Isa alayhi salam, has nothing to do with Christianity. It is the time of the Bacchanalia and the Saturnalia, and he is representing riotous fun, drunken reverie. And so what happens on Christmas, the Christmas season, especially in America, people today are not even thinking about Isa alayhi salam. They're not even thinking about Jesus. They're looking how they can get drunk.
Why do you think back then when we were younger, I know a lot of you can relate to what I'm about to say. A lot of our parents took the eggnog and they would put liquor in the eggnog and they would drink the eggnog. This is where that came from, because around this time of the year, it was all about staying warm and getting drunk. You understand what I'm saying? So this is what this celebration was about. So when you see your people take the eggnog and put liquor in it, that's because, you know, unbeknownst to them, they're associating, or they're practicing rituals, satanic rituals.
On Christmas, what is going on? In the Caribbean and many parts, if they offer you a Christmas pudding or Christmas pie or Christmas drink, watch out, because it's probably laced with rum or wine. That's the spirit of the season. Now, this riotous occasion that was going on went so far that the Christian church banned it. And the Church of England, according to historical sources, actually banned it all the way to 1647. It was prohibited in England to celebrate Christmas because they saw Christmas as being a pagan holiday. This is an official position taken by the Christian church, the Church of England, who were known at that time as Puritans. What happened was an individual was superimposed. A name was superimposed. We hear about the name of Saint Nicholas. Saint Nicholas. Now, Saint Nicholas himself is actually coming from the ancient writings of Beowulf. And in these writings, which are done in the Scandinavian region, we find the name Nick or Nickel or Nicker. he was known as a demon, the demon of the north. He was known as the evil spirit of the north, the name of Odin, the evil principle. And so in Germany and in many of the northern countries, the people actually looked upon this so-called Saint Nick as being an evil force, and they would tell their children in the wintertime, don't go outside, because if you do, Nicholas will come along, Nickel will come along, he'll capture you, put you in his bag, and take you away. And so they used it as a negative concept. In Isaiah, in what is left of the Bible, in chapter...
See, you have to understand that, this is where we get the name Saint Nicholas from. So when you hear Saint Nicholas, they're actually talking about this individual that would come along in the middle of a night who was thought of to be a demon and kidnap the children. This is something that they believed in over here, for real, okay? So this is why I say it's important for us to really know what it is that we're celebrating and not just partake in things without actually learning the history of it. This is why when you go into these little malls and stuff like that, they want the child to sit on Santa Claus's lap. You understand what I'm saying? And we all know what that's about. It's all about philia with a P. You feel what I'm saying? You have to understand that, bro. We have to be aware of these things, because to be aware is actually to be alive.
In 1413, the devil is known as the Prince of Darkness. And it is an understanding that his throne, the seat of his power, is in the north. Somewhere in the north is the seat of power of this evil. And so the Germans also, when they depicted this Nicholas, or this Pelsnickel, as they would say, Pelsnickel in German, it means a furry devil. When they depicted him, they depicted him as a man with red fur. He had red fur coat, and his base was in the north, and he was the essence of evil. And the Church of England till 1647 took the position that this celebration could not go on. So what we are actually seeing is that the Christmas occasion was actually the time of evil. It was the time of the belief in the Saturnalia and the Bacchanalia. And because of this, they shifted the occasion to New Year's Eve. They shifted all of their feelings and their merriment and their evil to New Year's Eve. Now, before we go to that, looking back at Christmas, what is happening now in Christmas season? I don't know what goes on in Miami, but in the northern cities, on Christmas occasion, they put lights around and Santa Claus parades. Do you have a Santa Claus parade here? They have Santa Claus parades and
I know when we were a child, when I was a child, they actually did have the parades and things like that. But I don't know if they actually do that no more or anymore. I know in the city that I'm in right now, they're not doing it. But I will say that when we were younger, it was, I feel like right now the spirit of Christmas is actually dying away. You don't see too many people partaking in it as much as they did in the beginning. And this is more so because we are in the age of Aquarius at this point. And everybody is able to receive information like this, actually going to study. And this is also the age of the awakening. And so people are starting to realize that they're indulging in things that is not, of the spirit that we should be worshiping or partaking in.
Nicholas is outside and he's in the streets and everybody's talking about St. Nicholas, and the poor children are taught that St. Nicholas is going to come down your chimney. Most people don't have chimneys in Miami anyway, but a 350-pound man is going to come down your chimney and bring you presents and keep his clothes white and red, and go to all of the homes in the area and put presents in your stockings and put presents under your tree, and then fly back out into space. And the poor father who sweat and toiled all year to get you the presents gets no credit for the present given to the child. Saint Nicholas comes down the chimney, gives you this present, flies off into the night. And many of us were raised thinking, believing in this. Some of us would sneak into the night and look and see our father putting the present under the tree. We knew what he was doing anyway. But you went along with it, and the people say, well, you know, it's Christmas. Don't you like to have fun? You want to stop the children from having fun? What kind of people are you? But what are you teaching the children? You are using the name of Jesus, using the name of Isa alayhi salam, and you are using a figure who historically is the devil. The devil himself, wal-iyadhu billah. They are using his figure, and he has now taken over the Christmas season. Christmas now to most people means materialism. You have to buy presents for your cousins and your...
I say this all the time. I say, let's just say we are worshiping Jesus and we're celebrating the day of his birth, which it was just explained, or in which many of us already knew that he was not born around that time. Okay. But let's just say that we were partaking in celebrating his birthday, bro. What does us giving each other presents have to do with celebrating his birthday? It's his birthday. Why are we giving each other's presents? It seems like no one stops to actually think about this. Okay. So not only are they having us worship or celebrate in satanic rituals, you understand what I'm saying? Now they're having us also feed their monetization system, feed their pockets. You see what I'm saying? Make them more richer in the process. We got to wake up.
Friends, and you got to buy about 34 presents, and you find that most American people are in debt for 6 months after Christmas. Now, where is Jesus? You get drunk, you fight, you lose all your money, the stores raise their prices. Isa alayhi salam is described as a very humble person. Most of the time he didn't wear shoes, only 1 or 2 changes of clothing. A very simple person, eating very simple food, fasting most of the time. You see what is going on? There are 2 streams now, a stream of polytheism, a stream of monotheism, and now the polytheism, the materialism, is overtaking the monotheism and standing in the way and taking over our society. And some foolish Muslims coming along from outside of in their country say, well, I just want to be an American. I want a tree too. So I said, one of the brothers said he had a Christmas tree in his house. He came for, I said, brother, do you know what the tree stands for? He said, no. Okay, I'll get a palm tree with dates. I'll make it halal, a halal Christmas tree. But brother, you have to understand what it means. You have to understand what it means. Number one, the Prophet ﷺ, when he spoke about, he talked about a-ruqya, wa tama'im, wa tiwala. He said all of these things are shirk. That if you hang amulets thinking that this ta'weez or this amulet is going to protect you from something, then you are actually giving power to the creation of Allah and taking it away from the Creator. If you think that by making some spells, going to a magician and asking them to put a spell on someone, you want to get married, so you go to the...
So now look, I will say this, right? When we talk about the tree of life and its you know, its meaning in terms of the tree and the star that's put on it, it's a whole different meaning. Okay, so if you familiar with the tree of life, then you understand that meaning, which I don't feel like really getting into right now, but we will elaborate more on the YouTube channel. Then you know that it has another symbolization to it. Okay, but that doesn't mean that it's supposed to be put in your house. Okay, that doesn't mean that. They didn't actually bring trees in. It was actually a goddess that they worshiped because they understood that you know, all life came from the tree of life, which is actually embedded in the woman's placenta. Okay, so they worshiped the goddess because they knew that all life first came through that portal. Okay, and then the star that was supposedly put on top of the tree would have represented the Christ-like conscious, or not the Christ-like conscious, or the cosmetic consciousness, understanding the cosmos more. Okay, and so with that being said, I really showed you guys this video. I really showed you guys this video because I feel like it's necessary that we learn this information in order to re-educate our children and take them out of the thought process of, you know, worshiping something that's going to ultimately give light to demonic energies. All right. We have to start re-educating our children and taking them out of this system that we have been unconsciously subjected to, and stepping outside of the false religions that they've taught us, the false way of life, is going to be a major part in us waking up and starting to remove ourselves from this matrix. All right. And so with that being said, man, if you are not already following me on YouTube, please go over to YouTube at I Am Awakend and follow me, man, because we finna turn up over there, y'all. I got a lecture coming up over there, a live lecture that's going to deal with the science of creation. OK, as I've said in other many videos, man, the story that we have been given in the Bible is not actually the first creation. It's talking about the third creation. OK, and even the information that they're giving you in the Bible derives from a book called the Enuma Elish. OK, and it's a book that was actually recording the Anunnaki gods during the period of time that they were here. OK, so a lot of the context of the Bible actually comes from them, and it was misconstrued to mean certain things, because you have to understand that the original language is not the English language. OK, and this is why we have been led astray, because through the reconstruction of the Bible and the transformation through the transitioning of the language, everything was mistranslated. All right. So if you want to hear that live lecture, man, make sure that you are tuning in to the YouTube channel. OK, at I Am Awakened. Also follow me on Instagram at I Am Awakened _chosen one, you guys. OK, I see a lot of people, they following the _chosen, but follow the _chosen one. All right. We're going to do a lot of healthy eating over there. We're going to do some working out and everything else. Also, if you're not already, follow I Am Awakened too, man. If you made it this far, man, follow I Am Awakened too. All right. Because we're going to do, I feel like I'm going to do more of a behind the scenes, man, and give you guys some insight on, what I do in terms of how I, go about, continuing my journey of spirituality. All right. And so with that being said, if you have not already, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Also share it if you learned something from this content. And also, I just want to leave you guys as I came. I want you guys to always be aware, because to be aware is to be alive. And as always, peace, family. Peace, meaning positive energy, always creates elevation. Ashe.